watching Canadian Muslim news on Muslim Network TV from Toronto, Ontario. I'm Katherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Today we'll be talking to Rabia Khida, who is the National Director of Disability Without Poverty, about the campaign they have run during the election to get money to the disabled who need it. First, some news headlines. Election Day 2021. On the final day of the campaign, Liberal Party leader Justin Trudeau, leader of the Liberal Party, and Erin O'Toole of the Conservative Party are running close in the final polls. So far, nearly 6 million Canadians have voted in advance, and 1 million special ballots have been received. This is a record-setting early turnout for the elections. According to public polls conducted at 1 p.m. today, both the Conservatives and Liberals have been neck and neck at around 31% of the vote. A party must hold 170 seats in the House of Commons out of the 338 in order to form a majority government. Trudeau was first elected in 2015 with a majority, which became a minority after the 2019 election. If there is a minority government, the NDP, Green Party and Bloc Québécois will have more influence in Parliament than if a majority government is elected. 610 COVID-19 cases were reported in Ontario today. Ontario reported 610 new cases of COVID-19 and 2 more deaths related to the illness on Monday. More than half of those cases were found in people who are unvaccinated. Normally, the average weekly number is 711. Vaccine statistics show that 21 million doses have been administered to date in Ontario. More than 85% of Ontarians aged 12 or older have now received at least 1 dose of a vaccine. 79.1% have received 2 doses. At least 6 dead in an open fire at a Russian university. On Monday, a student opened fire at a Russian university, killing at least 6 people and injuring 20. According to Russia's investigative committee, the shooter was a student at the university. Video footage shows students jumping from the first floor windows before running for safety. Others barricaded themselves in their rooms. Although gun control laws are strong in Russia, firearms can be purchased for hunting, self-defense, or sports. The deadliest school shooting in Russia took place in 2018 when a student at a Crimean college killed 20 people. Muslim woman demands settlement of $250,000 from Ferndale, Michigan. A Muslim woman is seeking $250,000 from the city of Ferndale in Michigan, claiming its police forced her to remove her hijab for a police photograph. Helena Bowie, 40, was stopped by the police on eastbound 8 Mile Road in June. The Council on American Islamic Relations Michigan chapter has filed a notice of claim seeking a $250,000 settlement. It also seeks a police department policy change to allow Muslim women to keep their headscarves on for police photographs. Care attorney Amy Ducouré said Bowie was searched during her arrest and at the police station by a male officer while a female officer watched. Bowie, who had requested a female officer search her, said she is traumatized by the experience. That's it for the headlines. Now we turn to an interview with Rabia Khida, National Director of Disability Without Poverty. We have with us today Rabia Khida, who is the CEO of Dean Support Services and the National Director for Disability Without Poverty. Dean Support Services offers programs and services to individuals with disabilities in 3 cities in Ontario, Mississauga, Ottawa, and Scarborough. And Disability Without Poverty is a movement to ensure individuals with disabilities do not live in poverty, as the name says. Part of the campaign that they've been running during this federal election is to introduce a Canada-wide disability benefit. So we're here today with Rabia, who is going to talk to us about that. Welcome to the show, Rabia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So today people are going to the polls. Tell us a little bit about the Disability Without Poverty campaign, what you've been up to the last month.
Well, Disability Without Poverty is a national movement, grassroots, from coast to coast to coast, mobilizing people with disabilities their families, friends, allies and supporters, advocates, professionals, and organizations to work together to advocate for a Canada Disability Benefit. So what we've essentially been doing is pushing out our key asks into the media to raise awareness in the general public, to sway all party candidates to commit to alleviating poverty for people with disabilities in this country.
Can you tell us, I guess there are two things from what you've just said that I want to ask you about. What are the asks?
Essentially, we want any government coming in, regardless of their party affiliations, to honor the promises made by the previous government. Last fall and this spring, there was a promise made to bring forward a Canada Disability Benefit, a Disability Inclusion Action Plan, and to move forward with consultation involving people with disabilities every step of the way to shape a Disability Inclusion Action Plan, and specifically to shape the Canada Disability Benefit, modeled after the Guaranteed Income Supplement for seniors, a monthly supplement that wouldn't be clawed back. So involving people with disabilities in the design, no clawbacks, ensuring that the process was easy and streamlined, and to get money as quickly as possible in the hands of people with disabilities in need as much as possible.
So can you just talk a little bit about disability and poverty, like why this has become a focus for this campaign?
Well, poverty is rampant in Canada. We're a first world country, and we don't necessarily recognize that we have an issue with poverty, but we really do. Especially a lot of us who have connections to other lands and places and spaces on the globe where poverty looks very different. We think that there's no poverty here, because we're not seeing people in living in shanty towns and refugee camps and being displaced because of natural disasters and wars. We're not witness to all of that here, so we think that there is no issue with poverty. Yet there is an issue with poverty. And for people with disabilities, 41% of the population living in poverty are actually people with disabilities. That's why poverty matters to us.
That's a very high number. And I know what you're saying about the Muslim community. When they give their annual charity, there's a tendency to think there's no poverty here and to send it overseas.
Yes, absolutely.
So then how did you put together this movement?
Well, a number of people came together and realized that the government's making this promise, but they can't do the work alone. And it can't be a one-party initiative, that it needs to be broad-based and grassroots, ensuring that all party support is mobilized. It's the right thing to do, and the time is now for it, because through the pandemic, we realized that people with disabilities were forgotten. The government rolled out quick cash into the pockets of Canadians, working-aged, able-bodied Canadians who weren't able to work because of the lockdown. They quickly put forward money for students who wouldn't be able to work that summer. They quickly brought forward a little bit of money for seniors as well to help them out with the added costs of the lockdown. When it came to people with disabilities, the parties in power or not decide to play politics with it. So it turned into a debate, and there was pushback, and it ended up being pushed to November. People with disabilities did not get any COVID relief dollars until probably December, if not the new year. And they only got a measly $600. Able-bodied Canadians were deserving of $2,000 of support per month, regardless of how many people in the family, regardless of what income they were making or not. If they had experienced job loss and their income had substantially dried up down to about $1,000 or less, they were eligible for $2,000 a month unconditionally. And yet, people living with disabilities were given the $600 token, and that $600 token in some parts of the country was clawed back by provincial assistance programs.
I mean, you must have been very disappointed with that. How do you explain that discrepancy?
Again, it's how people with disabilities are valued in the society. So our biggest message in our campaign for this election has been, one, to put disability poverty on the agenda, and two, to showcase the fact that 6 million Canadians at least live with a disability. And out of those 6 million Canadians, they have at least 2 to 3 people in their lives that care about them, family members, etc. That's a substantial number of our population. That's more than half our population. Sorry, 22% of Canadians identify living with a disability. So that means over 60% of the population is directly living with a disability.
You'd think that there'd be more attention paid to it.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to inspire. We're trying to inspire people with disabilities to come together in this movement and show their power, show their potential, show their ability to participate and to push for what they need. So we're truly pushing the message forward about nothing about us without us, that we have to be involved in the process of solving and tackling the issues that we face.
Other organizations are putting out what's called a report card on each party to do with the issue that they care about, foreign policy or, healthcare or something. Have you put out a all candidate or all party report card giving the rating like a A, B, C, D?
We have not rated as such. What we have done is made available party platforms and shown the references made to disability supports and encourage people to make informed decisions.
So last question as we wrap up, how has the response been from the different candidates?
They'll tell us what we want to hear at some level, but for some more than others, there's a commitment to put dollars into the pockets of Canadians with disabilities who may or may not be able to work. And for others, it's strictly about we'll put more services in and we'll give more to employers and we'll do our best to help Canadians living with disabilities get jobs and we'll give them maybe a bit more tax break, but there's minimal recognition of the fact that there will always be a segment of the population who may not be able to work full time to pay their own bills.
Do you want to give a special shout out to any candidate?
I really can't, because we've chosen to take this position of we're prepared to work with everybody. But all I gotta say is, for me, I have to hear a genuine commitment, and I have to see myself reflected in a party's platform, in a party's composition, let's say. So I, as a woman in hijab, as a brown woman, as a woman with a disability, woman who happens to be blind, need to see my identity markers visibly identifiable in a party for me to cast my vote toward them.
Well, we commend you for your work and your activism and for spending time with us today to explain it. Rabia Khida, the National Director for Disability Without Poverty, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
That's it from us. You've been watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Stay tuned for the next episode. Stay safe and God bless.